Alright, folks, so let's talk about this form. This form is called 8832, and a lot of people got it wrong. Okay? So you have to understand why do we need this form 8832. Because right now, if you look at this form, it's basically just the entity classification election. Okay? So basically, you are going to elect a certain entity that the IRS is going to treat you. Okay, so you have to understand this. If you form a business entity, whether in the United States, right, different state, United States got like United States, a lot of state, right? So different states got different law. So if you form an entity on one state, right, and another people like open a another state and then got like a different business entity, IRS become like really hard to keep track of all this. Okay, and of course there are foreign entities, and different country got like different regulations and laws and all that. So IRS solution is a pretty simple one, right? So they are saying, well, you are like form entities, business entity on the state level, right, or different foreign level, doesn't really matter, right? As long as I hammer out certain rules, hammer out certain business entity classifications, and I just say, well, you are this kind of business, right? You're this kind of business and this kind of business. Okay, so just to classify this by a default rule, and if you are not satisfied with that, well, you can file this form 8832. So basically, you are going to go through an election. Okay, democratic. Come on, you can. You can elect in a sense, but that election is a different from the election. Just to basically they give you a choice, so you can choose. So by default, each of the business entity that sort of classify a certain business entity, and then they give you a right. Say, hey, you can have an election. You can file that to me, and we're going to change how you're going to be taxed. Okay, so basically that's how this form is doing 8832. And first I'm going to jump a little bit. The one most made mistake about this is about the part 1 election information type of entity. Okay, a lot of people got this wrong because they choose the foreign eligible entity. Okay, so you have to understand this. We will come to this in detail later, but you have to understand this. Even though you are like foreigner, right? You are the foreign owner of a U.S. entity. This is like the election. This is for the company, for the corporation, for the LLC, right? So it's not for you. So even though you are, maybe you think, well, there's a foreign here. So if I am a foreigner, right? In that sense, so in the legal sense, the tax law sense, it's called the non-resident alien. Okay, so if you're non-resident alien, you start up company in the United States, any of states, right? It's still considered a domestic entity. Okay, so this is for domestic entity. So do not choose a foreign eligible entity unless you are, a true foreign eligible entity. Okay. So, for example, if you are, like non-resident alien, you start a company in the United States, I don't know, maybe an LLC, and you want to, be treated as a corporation. You want to use this. Don't choose the foreign eligible entity, right? The LLC form in the United States, so it's a domestic eligible entity. Okay, this is like one of the a crazy mistake a lot of people. A lot of my international clients make, so you have to stress this at the very beginning. I know a lot of you folks won't watch the video to the end, so you have to understand this, right? So let's go back a little bit. So, I explain things from a very, very beginning level. Okay, so what's the first rule here, right? Why do we need this at the very, very beginning? What's the all the scenario here? So if you think about this, all the scenarios come to like this, right? So whether you are domestic or whether you're foreign, right? And you can either, be like elected to be classified as a certain tax rule applied entity, or you can change. Okay? So that's basically all the scenario here. You are either domestic or either foreign, right? You either just choose, like electing to be classified as a certain taxable entity, or you want to change it. Okay? As simple as that. And of course, in some scenarios, you want later election relief. Okay? We will talk about that, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? So that's basically all this big picture here. All right, let's go back. Remember, we got tons of parts here. So let's quickly go through this Form 8832.